It's a bird.
It's a plane.
No, wait. It's another episode of the DomJake Podcast. As I'm sure you're aware, this episode is all about the marvelous world of superpowers, as well as the wielders of them. Are you ready to get started, man?
Oh yeah, I am.
Superpowers and their, as I said before, wielders have been a part of myth, legend, and pop culture throughout the years. They've been figures in biblical wars like Samson. They've been in comic books like Batman or Spider-Man. They've also been in advertisements for life insurance. Superheroes aren't confined to just comic or regular book pages anymore. They've kind of infiltrated into every corner of our lives, from movies to TV shows to merchandise and even fashion.
Not only that, though, but they reflect our collective values, challenges, and aspirations. When we cheer for hero's victory or emphasize with the villain's struggle, we're actually engaging with themes that resonate in our own lives, whether subconsciously or intentionally. We could connect with the super being's story.
Completely right. So something that I wanted to kind of bring up is, or I guess maybe ask, that might be a better way to go about it, Q&A sort of thing. The cultural significance of superheroes in modern society. Like, why do you think the idea works and is prevalent and is oftentimes, especially nowadays, revisited in the cinema and books and anything today? Why do you think why do you think it's all over the world, right? Why is this phenomenon a thing?
I think the best answer I can give is, well, just like I think we mentioned before in a previous episode about America, it's about kind of like profiting off of like superhero stuff, as we've seen in the last couple of years with these movies that keeps coming out. Like, we're already like, it's like these companies are making big bucks on a lot of superhero movies. And
sure.
Well, and that's not just that, but a lot of superhero characters have been making a lot of cash. But also, it's not just about that, but eventually, plus we all need like a superhero in our own lives, so then we could take on from there, and then we could be superheroes for others that look up to us.
Right, yeah. So it's not just a sense of, oh, it will make my company a lot of money if I have, a Superman commercial or whatever. It's also a sense of, I guess, idolizing a figure that might not be real, but like having a sense of unity with the community around you, right? Maybe it's something like that, or it's like, oh, we all like the idea of a superhero and superpowers. We know that right now they're not so much a thing. Well, not to the level that the comic books have, but people are clearly fast. People are clearly strong, but like, we're talking about super stuff, right?
I mean,
like stopping an airplane midair sort of thing. Like,
if only we had that kind of power, but we do have firefighters that help save people out of a burning building, but
right. Yeah. And that is technically considered in I guess layman's terms heroic, right? Like, firefighters who rescue people out of a burning building are, I would say, heroes. Even if it's not just people, right? Like, saving a cat. It's a life that, if you just sat there doing nothing, would have probably been gone, taken away, right? Yeah. So there is that sense of heroism in real life as well, which we definitely can get into, right? Mm-hmm. So let's kind of go back, and I'm not surprisingly, I'm not as organized as I was, last time. This one's kind of more of a free flow idea, like a more improvised. We don't have to go in chronological order or anything, but are there any like ancient mythological figures that you could, you could point to being like the old version of superheroes, like the idea of, oh, we'll idolize this person because they do miracles or do things for this certain side in a war.
Um,
Is there any like mythological figure like that?
are we gonna be going back to like the caveman times when we discovered fire and wood and we can build stuff?
Not necessarily. I'm talking about more like mythological, like people. Like
Like
I guess I could throw one out as an example. Achilles, right? He was like on one side of the war in like ancient Roman history or Greek history. Um, it was, dipped in the river Styx, but his mother was grabbing his Achilles heel and, you know, she didn't make him fully indestructible, but he was pretty much a saving grace on one of the sides, right? And he
mm-hmm.
was slaying the enemy until he was slayed because, someone's arrow was guided by one of the gods who didn't like Achilles. But like figures like that, where it's like you don't necessarily know if it is a real person. Heck, it could have been a real person, but it was like highly, you know, pushed into a different narrative, right? Like he could have been a real guy, but it's like he's not like that. He could have been a
Oh, it's
good
like
soldier, but maybe we're exaggerating a bit. But were there any figures like that you could think of?
honestly, it's been like a long time since we took history lessons, but I'm just thinking of like Egyptian times,
Go
Greece.
on. Can you think of any historical figure that was, you know, or maybe not historical figure, but like just a mythological person who was in no other, there's no better way to explain this, but who was more super than the average?
We're talking about, um, I mean, we're talking about God.
Possibly, if you want to go down that rabbit hole.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I just thought of that from like the top of my head. Right.
So it's neat that you bring up, you know, neat that you bring up God slash gods slash goddess slash whoever, the great spaghetti noodle,
Like,
right?
yep.
Depending on, we're not here to, you know, say what is right, what is wrong, whatever you believe, even if you don't believe, right? That's not that's not our zone. I mean, we could technically do an educational religion podcast, but not like a bashing or like a try to convert people. Whatever. We could do that maybe a different time, but I'm more so talking about like um, instead of like God or the God figure, maybe someone like I'm trying to say someone who's like a different part of the world, right? So instead of Roman and Greek history, just straight up the big J man and not me, Jesus, right? You like he's whether or not he was real, the Bible and actually the first part of the Torah, that's the Jewish one, right? The
Mm-hmm.
first part. See, I'm saying we could do a religion episode, and here I am saying that's the Jewish one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Uh, I didn't really do a lot of research about superheroes because I don't think they're real, at least yet. Maybe. Or maybe they were real. Maybe they're not real anymore. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? That's grasping straws and
Hold up.
as a
Let's see.
tangent. But I'll continue with the Jesus talk, right? He was, at least in the Bible and the first, the Torah, right? Up until his death, right? He was kind of okay. Actually, I don't know what Judaism really believes. I know more so about the Christianity side a little bit more because that's pretty much hammered through popular media, right? But in the Bible, he's, responsible for curing blind people or, I don't know, turning water into wine, walking on water. Just these random things that the normal peasant right next to him couldn't necessarily do. Um, whether or not that was real, whether that's irrelevant, but in in the scripture, at least to my knowledge, those super events, those super qualities, those powers, if you will, happened, and he was depicted as such, with superhuman abilities that helped whoever he saw, pretty much. Um, like figures like that, whether, like I said, whether they're real, whether they're not, who just
Mm.
supposedly, because remember this is from a long, long time ago, if at all, but like, you know, Jesus wasn't like a guy 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Achilles wasn't, you know, 10 years ago an Olympic sport person, right? I'm
Yeah.
talking about like figures like that. Can you think of any that I didn't take because I kind of took
We're talking
two of the
about,
easier
I
ones?
don't know, Zeus, whatever. Is it? Am I going down that
Zeus.
path? Is it,
See, the thing that it's tricky whenever you say like the god figures.
I don't even know where I'm going with
It,
this.
it's it's kind of tricky because like sure they control, at least if we're going to talk about Zeus, right? He's like the storm guy, right? Um, if we're going to talk about like the Greek gods, they do control things, but they're not different necessarily from the other gods. I'm more so talking about like the people that were written about, not the gods that were written about. You get what I mean?
Think I'm getting, yeah.
So can you think of anybody?
Uh, I really can't say that I do.
Yeah, not even Samson, the one that I said in the
Said Samson. Yep, that's
the,
who you
the
mentioned.
intro. No, or
Samson. Hold up. Wait. Hold up a second.
google.com/mythological people.
Yep, that's. Yep. Yep. Samson. We're not even talking about like comic heroes either.
Not yet.
But they have their origins that come into place.
Sure, I'm not gonna dispute that. They do have their origins.
Mm-hmm.
I
See,
mean,
Hercules. How about
sure, yeah, that works. I wanted to kind of try to branch out to different parts of the world, but yes. Um,
Theseus?
yeah, yeah. Once again, another another Greek Roman. I mean, Jesus wasn't necessarily Greek Roman, but he's kind of that area ish. Um, I'm maybe something like. Siddhartha Gautama, right?
Maybe, yeah.
The Buddha, which
Yeah,
was a person who
which I mean, I
who
was
was.
thinking about that. I was just thinking about that, but
Why did you say it?
I had no idea. It
Well,
was
okay. Well, eh, whether or not you're using a Google list, well, you did share, Hercules, right? He's like the son of Zeus who came down from, demigoddom, if that's a word, demi goodness. Let's just say that.
demigod.
He came down.
Sounds like a prop name for a show, if I'm gonna be honest.
What, demi goodness?
Yeah. Like,
Maybe, sure. Um, but he came, down from Mount. Oh my God, Mount. It's not St. Helens. It's
mm-hmm.
not Rushmore.
I would assume it's none of those things.
Oh my God, what is the mountain? Mount Olympus. Oh my God. Right? That's where the gods lived, quote unquote.
I guess so.
Olympus. Let's just say Olympus, and if I'm wrong, then I'll do it in the edit or something. I don't know. But back where he pretty much left Mount Olympus to live with, let's just say, a normal human lady, right? Um, and at first he was, able to do these cool things, these different things that regular humans could not do, typically.
Yeah.
He wasn't technically a regular human, but yeah, I think he was. I think it was Zeus and a regular person gave birth, so that's why he's like a demigod. But my lore is off today. But he, at least in legend, was interacting with people, with
Yeah.
let's say real people. I mean,
Not
if he
like
was if he was written down, then that must mean at least a scribe, and I'm using air quotes here, met him before, right?
mm-hmm.
So that's that's a pretty cool little 20-minute tangent of just the starting point of this, but I wanted to kind of get an idea of, I guess, origins of like the first time that people were idolized before the idea of, like, superheroes and superpowers as a whole were a thing. Um, there was a point where royalty, if you were like a peasant, like, I don't know, King George the First, right? Royalty would have been seen as superhuman because they're doing something that you could only dream of, right?
Yeah.
Um, some people thought of royalty that way, other people didn't, but you know, I'm just sharing like what I believe an idea could have been, right? A viewpoint, like, um, technically not a superhero thing, but as like a form of idolation,
Like looking
admiration.
up
Yeah,
leadership. I'm just
like admiration and idling somebody. Um, Celebrities too. Like there are people who look up to any celebrity you name, right?
yeah. Insert name here.
I mean, insert celebrity here, right? There's somebody who looks up to them. Whether or not they should is a different thing, but
Whether they should or
that's
shouldn't.
you know what? That's also my opinion too, right? I guess you could idolize someone that I don't understand, but because it's your idolization, not mine. So you know what? No judgment there either.
Yeah.
At least not physically. Like, I might judge you inside, but who doesn't?
Everyone does, like, silently judge.
Everyone silently judges something, right? Like, only some people like share everything, which is either a blessing or a curse. I don't really
Yeah,
know. But,
you never know.
it might be both a blessing and a curse, but might be
Yeah.
both. So something that part of like the mythological beings or old figures, maybe they are historical or mythological at nature, but um, how do you think I'm just going to call it mythological, even if some of them were real people. How do you think the mythological idea of strong gladiator or something turned into like the modern superhero over time?
Um,
What do you think the evolution was like?
Probably whatever power, like whatever power that person has, and that I don't know if it's like the same way as like how us humans evolved over the years. You have like offspring, and then that, and then offspring, and like this kind of passes on. I mean, I mean,
I get what you're I get where you're going at, but you
I mean, it's
you're
this.
you're
I mean, the
it
idea it's not exactly the same, but
I get what you're saying, but you kind of misunderstood the evolution that I'm asking. I'm talking about like the idea, like why people started creating, superheroes. Like after having, legendary Bible
oh,
characters or legendary mythological beings, right? Like I'm not talking about like the, the historical, let's just say historical heroes like Samson having offspring that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
how
about like, the concept of superheroes. How did it evolve from from the
mythological to
from the myth, the Bible, from whatever, from that into I guess what it is now.
like just like these comic book heroes.
Right.
Uh,
I guess that's a good way to ask the question. How do you think like the idea of comic book heroes started?
I don't know. I guess it comes. Hmm. Probably comes from. They probably took inspirations from that, but and then they thought of. I don't know. They plus they. Hmm. God. Yeah.
Do you
Go.
think some of it, just to maybe help you out here, do you think some of it could have been because, um, I don't know, during the American Great Depression, maybe spirits were low, so somebody wrote a character that anyone can just, you know, pretend that the real life issues aren't a thing anymore and, idolize an idea that might not be real, but might make your kids' dreams better at night or something, right? Like
Well, it's probably
maybe
gonna be like, well, because they're kids. Well, they want a distraction, so they create these fictional characters, or they take their real life experience and then they kind of turn it into a character that is inspired by, oh, this guy saved like this guy saved their cat that's been burning under the couch, and now they make a character based on their experience. I don't know.
yeah, some of it might be like real life but exaggerated. Um,
Something like that. I don't know.
like the thing that I was getting at was like because I know during the Great Depression there was a rise in well, not just superheroes, but like media in general that was able to, I guess, distract people, give people hope, give people inspiration for maybe their own books to possibly
Get
distract themselves even more from these trying hard times.
yeah. Yeah.
Right on, right on.
It's interesting though, but
Because like at at the beginning of it, all of these, I guess it even stems back to like the Bible and like, the mythological figures too, but all of it, I guess, could be branched on a few things, right? Like, I want to teach the future generation some lessons using wild to imagine characters, or I want to maybe it is just a form of entertainment, right? It certainly is nowadays, but maybe it started out that way too, where it's like, oh, thinking about how this one soldier was able to take out a whole army on his own with only his pinky thumb, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
combining two fingers there, right? Um, I should say pinky and thumb to make it a little bit better, but that's such a wild concept to think about that it might give people hope to fight in, I'm not saying necessarily wars, but battles that they would once give up on, right? It might be a source of inspiration as
Well,
well.
back then, that's probably, well, even today, it's probably seen as a inspiration. But like now, it's kind of more of an entertainment. But who knows? Everyone's got their own different situation.
True, like it could also be like a healthy mix of both, right? It could be oh, it's just entertainment now, or oh, it actually is inspiration and meant to make the current generation feel great, right? Like whenever Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah,
Spider-Verse came out, Miles Morales being the first Black Spider-Man, right?
yeah,
That gave inspiration to people, and it was also a form of entertainment because it is a movie, right? Um,
yeah.
like, it could be just for a variety of reasons like that.
It was like
Do you,
multiple reasons.
right? Yeah, and overlapping reasons. um, how do you think the standard idea of what a hero is evolved, right? Or do you think the definition has kind of stayed constant?
Um, I really think it's for the bulk of it, it's kind of been constant, but kind of if you look between the lines, yeah, some things are different than what it was before, but majority of it's kind of the same.
Right, yeah. I would kind of agree with that one. Like most of it, whether you go back one day ago, or I'm just gonna throw out a wacky number, 1 million years ago, which I don't think people were around then, but let's forget about that part. Um, whether you go recent or a long time ago, that's the easier way to say it. Um, the idea of hero would probably be like, going out of your way to assist somebody who might be in need of something. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a big thing. It could be a small thing, right? Like, I don't know, this lady who was going to enter the door had a handful of a bunch of important documents, so I held the door for 5 more minutes, right? Like, you know.
Or how about the geriatric woman that's trying to cross the street, and the guy helps her cross the street.
Yeah, and
That's
you help somebody across the street. That's heroism, but
it's called
of
an act of
course,
kindness.
yeah, act of kindness is, I guess, it could be synonymous for being a hero. In their eyes, I would say mostly. Um, obviously, whenever you ramp up the scale of things a long way, like I saved 10 people from a burning building, if you ramp things up like that, then a lot more people will think of you as a hero. But
Yeah.
like small things like the person in front of me was, you know, was short $1, so I gave them $1 to finish up their bill, right? To pay for their storage.
Yeah.
Or oh god, whenever it's like the holiday season, oh, I'm only short by like $1. Like my
And you have,
kid's gonna be so disappointed. It's like, it's just $1. Here, I'll take care of the rest of it. Have a happy holiday.
yep.
That
Yeah.
could be a hero, at least to
But
the person in need. Right?
it's not as looked up as somebody who's like saving like people from an apartment building, like 10 people.
It isn't necessarily, but it's one of those things that a selfless person would do something like that, and afterwards they'll feel, yeah, I did that. Like, I'm proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. I assisted somebody, right? Not necessarily for for clout, right?
No.
Pulling out your phone, starting TikTok, and saying, "I paid for 10 people's McNuggets today,"
Yeah. I
and then afterwards being like, "No, are you kidding? I didn't pay for anything. I just said that just so that I could get the clicks."
mm, this oh now this goes into a whole category of like people who are like you try to pretend to help people out.
Which we could go down there, just as long as we don't spend eternity on
No, 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 no,
the
no.
fake heroes, because those certainly are out there. And I don't mean anti-heroes either. Like what Deadpool, I think, is one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anti-hero who's,
Or
yeah.
yep, and then when there comes heroes, there are villains.
It, I mean, of course that, but kind of sticking on with like the fake heroes,
Oh,
just
the
for like another,
anti-heroes like Deadpool.
right? Yeah, like sticking with the fake heroes in real life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like sticking with that, there are some people who, you know, they clean up the beach. They're like hashtag clean beach, save the turtles. Um,
Oh,
the beach pollution, not on my watch. And then
jeez.
they dump out the trash after posting their stuff and they walk away. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You certainly get some clout heroes who are like, oh, I'm doing the right thing, but they didn't follow through with the right thing.
Oh,
They
this
started, they were close.
this reminds me of a whole category of like people who are who I mean they had intentions but the execution was wrong. Like how about we have like those vegans or vegetarians?
Oh,
They
are you talking about like protests where they
yeah.
open a can of tomato paste and they throw it at like the Mona Lisa?
Oh, or there's this lady that like this person was like in a like KFC and they had this audio of like a
The
pig
pigs die. Yeah,
squealing
yeah.
and then the fake blood like pouring all over the. That's not exactly. I mean, there's a different way of spreading that message of a
it.
hero.
I mean, there's that saying. Just kind of tangent a little bit. There is like a saying of bad publicity. I cannot say that word. Bad publicity is still publicity.
Yeah, it's still.
However, sometimes sometimes it does more harm than good, right? Just because people are talking about it doesn't mean it's spreading awareness. It could be saying, you know what? I was going to send them $10 as a donation, but they did this stuff. They're doing more harm than good. So like I'll not donate.
Like
Instead, I'll do something else with the $10.
maybe actually spend it on a real heroic organization, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, if we're gonna just start talking about organizations, there are some. Let's say organizations are a bunch of people who may or may not be heroes, right? They might be fake heroes who are saying on their blog site all the proceeds are going to, I don't know, fight malaria in Africa.
Well, it's
Maybe
not
if
necessary,
you do your research, maybe that website's telling the truth. Maybe they are.
but
Maybe
they still don't get that heroic seal of approval, if that makes sense. If it makes
like
any kind of sense.
oh, it definitely does. It's one of those you definitely have to know where the donation's going before you do any donations like this. There are definitely good places out there who are trying to do things selflessly, even if like heck, there could be one bad person in these organizations, but just because there's that one bad egg doesn't mean the whole thing is bad. It fluctuates. If it's more than one person, it's kind of hard to label the whole thing as a bad system.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my opinion. It's like just really one bad apple ruins the bunch. I mean, for me, I would just take that bad apple out and maybe have fun with these good apples. Maybe
Uh,
that's
not.
my opinion. But you could have a different one.
I mean, you just want to. It's kind of like when a virus comes in, you want to get rid of it, so then more doesn't show up.
Sure. Oh God, we could talk about the virus too in this hero episode, but you know
No,
what? Let's not.
we've
'Cause
already
we
talked
kind of
about it
did that
enough.
last time. Yeah,
We've
we did
talked
that
about it
last
enough.
time.
No, but as I was saying, so yeah, we need more good than bad. That's what we want.
Right.
So
So I want to ask you something. It doesn't have to be long at all. I will count though. I will count to 10, right? Off the top of your head, what are 10 superpowers that we know of in modern day?
just like, so not even like just superpowers, not even like a fictional.
Oh, it could be fictional too,
Hmm. I guess super strength,
right?
supervision.
Okay,
Um. Let's see. Like we already described, speed,
sure.
and not necessarily invincibility, but
Yeah, I'll count it. Sure, four.
um, or flexibility, super
Yeah,
flexible.
yeah.
Uh,
Halfway through. There are
yeah,
definitely more than five more out there. You got this.
I got this. I got this.
In fact, there are infinite amounts. You could probably make
There's
one
like
up.
a lot to choose. There's like too many out there.
You're getting choice paralysis, right? It's like
Yeah,
so many to choose that you can't choose one, right?
yeah, that's literally what it's like. In the everyday world is it's always like that.
Right.
Hmm. Well, how about not? I don't know the I guess layman's terms, super thinking. I don't know.
Yeah,
Good thought. Good.
I I know what you're talking about. It's not telepathy. It's not telekinesis. Actually, you know what? I gave you two of them.
You could say telekinesis.
You know what? You're having a hard time with this, so all you need to do is name two more. We'll call it a collaborative effort. I gave you two.
Um.
Two
Hold
more.
on. Hold on. I know detail oriented. Being
Explain.
Well,
You need to orient your details more with this one. Explain.
detail oriented. So how about like what if your Nintendo Switch broke in your what if your screen literally like broke and you need some technician to or here's a better example. Your bike broke and you need someone who's detail oriented to find out what the problem is. Oh, could be the gears that are not set or something's wrong with the chain.
So being a mechanic is a superpower.
Not necessarily that's just a subcategory, but being detail oriented in general. That's just an example.
Yeah, sure. I would almost say that instead of saying detail oriented, I think the problem that you're facing right now is I'm just putting you on the spot and naming these. But instead of orientation, probably something where by looking at something you know what the issue is, right? Like the the best if this was a power and somebody was a doctor, they would look at a patient and they'll be like, yes, your heart has a hole in it. I know that just by looking at you. Don't believe me? Take the scan, but I know that just by looking at you.
I know it's got a 2-inch hole inside.
Like I know that because I just know the human body enough. I'll give you that, although I'm hesitant to give you that because it's just being a mechanic and being a doctor. But so one more that you haven't said, that I haven't said.
How about could a construction worker count as a hero? Because like your average Joe can't build a house.
So, but your average Joe can spend years learning how to do that. So I'm not gonna give you that.
All right, so
literally one.
Police op. How about
That's a job, man. You could learn.
Well, so if we're talking about, yes, we already named pretty much like the top known like super strengths or.
Yeah, sure, but
could you electric shock? Use your finger
sure. Electric shock. There we go. Electric
Frozone or Frozone from Incredibles. He's able to.
Great, extra credit. You got ice. You got ice. You got cryonetic abilities too. Great.
Perfect.
Sure.
I'm happy.
Do you want to do another plus one? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I get my degree in superheroology.
Superology, right?
Perfect.
Do you want to actually try for one more?
How about
you practically say anything?
A surgeon who can't a surgeon
that's the job. I'm not asking for heroes. I'm talking about powers.
Superpowers.
Yes.
How about your voice? Trying to have your lyrics go high frequencies.
Sure, high frequencies that could, make people's ears actually explode, right? Sure, cool. Sound wave, right? Okay, great.
Yeah, heroic. Or have
you did 12. Great.
Yay.
Well, you did 10, I did 2 of them, but yeah.
I passed the 8th grade now.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Congratulations. You're moving on to Sky High.
Yay.
I remember that movie. Of course you remember that movie. Like on your birthday that one time, your sister was like just starting it when I was leaving. Sky High, right?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Right on. Yeah. I kind of got into this a little bit before, but I believe I I made you go on the spot, so unless if you want to chime in, you really don't have to. I give your brain a little break if you want.
I'll
But
just, for now, I'll listen.
sure, listen, and then pipe in if you want to. Right? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So superpowers over time have kind of shifted in society as well, right? Um, for instance, I kind of got into this a little bit before, but during the Great Depression, there was a figure of hope, right? Every now and then, right? And then certain other things may or may not have happened in the 60s, right? You got Vietnam War, and that was like pretty much the start of Captain America, I believe. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
different events happening that give, I guess, creators like comic book makers an ability to make people, I guess, less fearful for the future just based off of this made up person, right? It's
To
it
an
gives them
extent.
it gives them an ability to kind of pretend, oh, that's not Superman, that's me in the sky. I'm flying. Right? Also
Yeah.
gives people a chance to imprint themselves on the character. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I see that.
So superpowers reflecting societal aspirations, expectations, and fears. Thing I'm gonna get into a little bit is um, if you ask, I'm just gonna say 1,000 people to choose a superpower. A lot of them are going to be based off of things that they themselves either can't do or used to be able to do, and they just want to do it again. For instance, you ask somebody and they're bedridden now, but they used to be, you know, the quarterback on their high school team.
Yeah.
They might ask for, the agility, the strength, the speed back that they once used to have because they can't do this stuff anymore. And by having a power magically changes who you are as a person, which I don't necessarily believe in that. I mean, you are a person, you can change, but it's
But,
typically not because of the power.
well, I don't know. Some people want to change or for the, but then there's got to be motivation.
Right. And sometimes, speaking of like the aspiration, there's also a sense of fear that may happen, right? Um, where a certain business might be capitalizing on the fact that everyone is afraid of what the world is going to turn into, whether or not this was 50 years ago or right now, doesn't matter. But they're fearful of what could happen, so they will submerge themselves in all of these fictitious worlds, or partly fictitious worlds in some cases, right? Because, Spider-Man's in New York. New York is a real place, but I don't think Spider-Man is a real thing yet, if at all.
Well,
Um,
I mean, you're not going to get, because, like, yeah, you ain't going to get a power just from getting bit by a Black Widow spider.
a radioactive one, not just a Black Widow.
Just any radioactive spider.
Oh God, I saw. This is totally a tangent, but I saw Man Spider, the old Smosh video again.
Yeah, I'm like starting to begin to watch them again.
I I saw a radioactive spider on my desk. It didn't bite me, but I bit it. Man spider.
Wow.
I guess shout outs to the freaking billion subscriber company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they're actually able to do their thing again. It's not, you
What?
know, they actually own their brand again. It's not just
Yay. That's
somebody
why
else's.
just learn from them not to like give your company away to or give your channel away to a big company, because then things will happen in a way that you never intended.
Especially for stock. I mean, like nowadays, you think of that as like, how'd you fall for that? But at the time, it's like they're the first like channel to actually get, let's just say, adopted by a company,
Mm-hmm.
at least in that way.
And you know what no superhero would do? Anything that, I guess, give their, I don't know.
I was there, like I kind of wanted you to say like a good segue because it was close.
The superheroes like give their powers away to anyone else,
Um,
because now those powers are in control of somebody else, and they can use that to their advantage.
in your definition, what is the difference between a hero and a villain? And I'm not
Well,
talking about superheroes. I mean, you could talk about them, but what's the difference between a hero and a villain in your mind?
well, it's kind of the polar opposites. Like a hero's doing things for the good, but a villain is like harming others for their own selfish needs.
Who's to say what's heroic and what's villainy?
Or how about let's let's go back to that $1 billion channel. Then, yep,
Defy media.
yep, yes, Defy Media. They were the villains that took over Smosh's channel, and they got karma after a couple years later. They went out of business. So yeah, they were pretty much a villain, because then now Anthony didn't want to be part of it.
They took, I guess, they took advantage of a system that the rest of the people didn't really understand, so they were able to come out on top.
But see, that's considered being a villain in my book. I mean,
Right.
I digress. Everyone else, I have no idea.
Oh, it's definitely not as much of a digression as you might think,
Mhm.
because there certainly are, like I said, even before, corporations out there who are doing good things intentionally, and there are also those ones who are unfortunately doing some, let's just say, not heroic things.
Yeah,
Whether or not it's villainy is kind of up to interpretation, but let's just call it not heroic, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure these CEOs of these charities, if you could even have CEOs of charities, I'm not too sure of that, but just roll with this here. These guys probably wouldn't take off their shirt if somebody was in need of it, right? If they were just walking on the street, someone needed a shirt, they wouldn't take it off their back.
Likely not, because it's probably they don't want that.
It cost me $5,000 to buy this shirt. I'm not giving you jack. You're gonna sell it for what? What's something that all of these CEOs say every homeless person is? Oh, you're gonna sell it for
Hundreds of
drugs,
yeah, that
or you're gonna sell it just so that you could buy some
things.
ALCHOCALCO. Sure will.
Just things that you shouldn't be doing.
It's like they judge prematurely. It's like you don't know their situation.
You,
I mean,
I
are there
mean,
are there homeless people who will turn around and buy the DRUGS? Yes,
but
but not all of them.
no, not all. But you
Definitely.
also gotta wonder why they're homeless to begin with.
Maybe it's literally just a thing that was out of their control.
Who know? Yeah, it's like you don't know. You just don't know.
Maybe it's by choice. Like
Maybe.
literally, they just don't want to be a rich person anymore, so they're not. Mm.
Mm.
I
See
mean,
what?
if they wanted to be homeless, they'd give me the money instead, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's just a joke, though. But there does tend to be a little bit of a shift from clear-cut heroes and villains to morally complex characters. We mentioned Deadpool before. He's he's not he's not by definition bad, right? He's not going around and, ending everybody.
Nope.
He's doing, I guess we could call it, he's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, or maybe the wrong thing, but for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the right thing for the right reason, or the wrong thing for the wrong reason. It's
Yeah.
morally ambiguous. It's in the
It's like
middle,
a mix.
kind of, right?
It's kind of like how Reese's and it became a thing. Chocolate and peanut butter mixed.
But no, there's definitely a clear shift of, heroes versus villains and versus, you know, the in-betweeners, as we could call them.
Yeah.
Okay, this time instead of powers, do you think, and I'm not going to give you 10, do you think you could name five, at least five villains?
Hmm.
Like clear-cut villains. They are not in between.
So even just like fictional characters too. Does this include that?
It does not matter.
Okay, let's do
You could, I mean, if you're gonna listen to a suggestion that I have, you should probably keep it to only fictitious things because we don't want you on a certain FBI watch list.
Okay, here's one I can think of. Is Let's see, Vector from Despicable Me.
Sure,
Um Sid from Toy Story.
sure. I mean, he's just a dick of a kid, but like, sure.
He's they're he's a villain to them. But
Okay,
um Doc Ock from Spider-Man.
right, okay.
What about I know there's Batman, then there's Robin.
They, I don't think, are villains.
I know Batman's a hero.
I would believe that Robin, the boy wonder, aka Batman's sidekick, is possibly a hero.
Yeah, I know there's forgot that character's name in the Shazam movie. I remember there was a villain in there. But
Let's kind of stick with like the Batman idea.
or how
Can
about
you name?
The Joker? How about the Joker?
That's definitely one. Yeah.
He was a bit of one.
I mean, how can you forget whenever previous guest of the Tom Jake show, Skipper, has pretty much. Let's face it, he is the Joker.
Mm, he needs to replace Michael Keaton. Oh, he's Batman. Never mind. Michael Keaton's Batman. But yes, Skipper's the new Joker.
You want to run that back with me? You said Michael Keaton is Batman, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure he was in the new one. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. Who knows?
You know, it doesn't matter.
We're gonna cut this out. Let's just cut this out.
Maybe. It depends on if I feel like a hero or a villain today.
So yes, I think I named a couple villains.
You did. Give me one more, because that was just 4 of them.
Let's see.
Any.
Yeah. One. I know. Yep.
Google.com/villains.
Wait a minute. Oh fuck. The stumbling moron. They're perfect. I think I got it.
I don't know. Man Ray?
Man Ray, yeah, Man Ray, but that's not who I was thinking of. I wasn't really thinking about. That's not who I was trying to go. I wasn't trying to go for him, but sure. Let's stick with. Oh, yes, Man Ray. He's also a villain. Or yeah, he's. Yep, he's a. Yep, there we go. Yay!
Yeah, we got 5 of them. All right.
And what about Mr. Crocker from Fairly Odd Parents? There are times he'd be, or Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents.
I'm not gonna attempt that voice.
I'm a villain.
My God, that Darren Norris. Shoutouts to that celebrity. He plays like everybody.
Yeah.
It's like he's the dad. He's Cosmo. I don't know if he's. I think he's Mr. Crocker. He's Jorgen von Strangle.
Mm-hmm.
He's everybody.
Yeah, he's like literally like every character.
He's Seth MacFarlane of the Fairly Odd Parents.
Wait, what did you say? Yeah,
Who is that supposed to be?
I guess that was supposed to be Mr. Crocker from Fairly Odd Parents.
Okay, good. I thought it was supposed to be Stewie, and I'm like, that's not close.
That is, nope, not even.
Good. You weren't going for that. Okay.
No.
So, let's say in Fairly Odd Parents, right? Mr. Crocker uses a lot of gizmos and gadgets to try to catch the fairies, right?
Yeah.
Same sort of thing with superheroes and I guess supervillains as well, right? There is a tendency that they have gadgets and gizmos aplenty. They've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabombs? They've got plenty. But who cares? No big deal. They want more.
Like those villains though versus the heroes, they don't naturally have like villains don't naturally have like powers like a villain. They just use stuff to get what they want versus heroes who naturally have the powers.
Not in everything. There are definitely bad guys who have powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm honestly trying to think of like oh shoot, he's not exactly a villain either. Like you say he is, but not really. Wow. Come to think of it, you might be onto something about that. About a lot of them having technology.
Oh yeah.
There is a villain that doesn't necessarily require much in terms of tech. And that could be holy shit. Wow. Wow, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That could be Jinx from Teen Titans. There we go. She has powers, and she's more often than not a bad guy. There we go. Perfect. We got it.
Yay!
We got something. I'm not a
Yippee!
bozo. I'm just gonna edit out the moments of struggle, so I'm not a bozo. Superheroes and supervillains do rely on gadgets sometimes, and a lot of the times we look at these comic books and movies for inspiration in real life gadgetry as well. But we're not talking about real life right now. Let's talk about the gadgets and gizmos, which I'm I'm sad you didn't catch that reference that I made a while. I pretty much ripped off a whole part of a Disney song there, but I don't think you caught it. Or if you did, you didn't say anything about it. But superhero gadgets are definitely real world technological advancement technology. Like the idea of nanobots that wasn't really a thing until a story was like, oh, you know what? Let's shrink down. And yes, it's kind of silly to think about, but let's shrink down this doctor, put him in a capsule, have this sick person swallow the capsule with the doctor, and then they'll fight the disease or something in there. That is kind of, at least in my opinion, the idea of nanobot technology. Of course, towards the towards a little bit later in the timeline, nanobots were even an idea in the actual, you know, stories too. That
Mm-hmm.
ended up being oh, this could be real stuff now. Like, this is more recent, but like, like Hero in Big Hero 6, right?
Yeah.
Well, not
Nanobot
just, not
technology.
just, yeah, not just Hero, but uh, Tadashi too. His brother was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
making an inflatable robot, right? But Hiro was making the nanobot technology.
Pretty much
That's
was.
of course that's more modern, but there
Pretty.
is there is an idea of maybe these little tiny robots can assist in something. There is nanobot technology. How rare it is, I don't know, but it's definitely out there.
Could this tie into artificial intelligence?
It could if people were able to train the nanobots to know what, you know, red blood cells are sick versus healthy, maybe. If
Mm-hmm.
there is an easy way to look at that. I don't know, um but definitely, yeah. Fictitious technology affects scientific research and innovation like all the time. I'm not even talking about superheroes here, but Back to the Future, right? The idea of a time travel machine, right?
Yeah.
The idea of a hoverboard, right? And when Marty McFly goes to 2022, he sees hoverboards, which are not a thing yet, and it's 1 year after that, but no big deal.
Nah, no big problem. Or
And you know what? Back to even more in the future. In 2053, we'll have it.
well, what are we gonna? Or what's we're gonna have? We're gonna marry robots in 2053.
You say that. You know what? Can't can't go wrong with that roboticity. Uh,
Nuts and bolts. Okay.
dang,
That
dang
aside.
girl, dang girl, them bolts be popping tonight.
Mhm. Uh, who we have as another hero? Inspector Gadget.
All right, physically screwing robots comes with ethical quandaries.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, being a hero and villain is not just heroic or villainous. It
Mm-hmm.
does come with ethical limits as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
tell me what you think of this idea. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not saying this is real. It might be real, it might not be real. Let's say last night I discovered that I actually had a superpower, right?
Yeah.
I I might be the only one in the world. I might not be the only one, but at least I know I do have a power, right? I discovered it last night. But tonight I design a superhero costume and name and backstory. And I don't know, I went to all the people who made fun of me in high school or something, being like, dude,
Mm.
like, I'm gonna freeze you with my breath.
Sounds like
Right.
revenge.
Well, okay. You know what? Not necessarily, not necessarily that, but I discovered I have these powers, and I invent a persona for myself to fight under.
Mm. Let's just say you're.
In your opinion, is it weird to have an alternate identity?
I would.
Or
I
do you
think
think
it's.
it would be better of me to be like, oh yeah, this is me. Full blast, this is me, I have frost breath.
I would not. I don't know. It would be probably be untruthful to have an alternate identity, but unless it's for saving your own life, or I don't know. Um. So, but the breath thing.
Yeah, I just pretend that it's frost breath. I mean, I just named that one out of random, but
What if? Let's just say your power. You wanted to preserve, I guess, like any vegetables you've grown in your garden. You can do the like, and then they'll last you a whole season.
you're turning this into something else. I'm asking about like the idea that I was to have a secret identity versus just going flat out, this is me.
Well, I would have. It's only a matter of time before people are gonna find out it's you.
Okay, that is true. A lot of the times you can't really keep much under wraps forever. Yeah,
So at that,
there are moments in these shows, I'm saying shows, but in these stories that yes, eventually it's not just Batman anymore. We know it's Bruce Wayne now. Or it's not just, you know, Superman.
Spider-Man,
It's also,
whoever it is.
it's not just, Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker, it's not just Superman, it's Clark Kent. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name. Um, but that's that's kind of the reason why I wanted to ask you that. Because it seems like you're kind of going back and forth.
I
It
don't know.
seems like you're in the middle-ish. Because it isn't really it's not like a yes or no thing. It is kind of in the middle.
I don't know.
It's
It depends on
ambiguous.
what it is.
Right,
It
it
depends on
depends.
what. So I really
So,
don't have I don't have an exact answer, but all I can say is it
right,
depends on what it is.
right. And like let's throw this out there. If I was to say it was straight up me, not like, I don't know, Frost Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But that would mean that possibly the government will track me down physically to experiment on me and see what my frost breath can do. Maybe cut me open, maybe kill me because, oh, I'm different. So maybe there's a good thing of having, oh, this is Frost Man. Oh, have you heard of Frost Man? I clearly haven't. I'm not Frost Man. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's kind of odd because you guys sound the same.
Oh, no, we don't. I know for a fact Frost Man uses a voice changer. How do you
Yeah.
know that if you weren't it? Right?
Yeah.
But so secret identities you already have input on, but what about the vigilante justice?
If it
Where,
means if you don't want if it means not having the government like butcher you, then sure, like cover yourself. But if it's really not that big of a deal, then just reveal who you are.
well, honestly, I'm talking about the vigilante justice, though, where it's like instead of calling the cops, I'm freezing people
Mm-hmm.
who are trying to mug somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Physically freezing them, and
And
I took care of them. It wasn't the
the
police that did it.
so the
I
cops.
did it.
So then it's gonna probably they're probably gonna be losing money, I guess, if the hero stopped them instead of the cops, because now they're not gonna be making a lot of money off of like stopping these crimes.
I mean, they might not be stopping them, but I certainly don't own a prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
No,
certainly, I mean, I'd like to think that I'm not freezing people and putting them in my basement or something.
I would like to think that too. I mean, let's take a lot of these hero stuff I mean, like you mentioned, like you're the one that kind of like stopped whoever was mugging somebody in the street, and it was supposed to be the cop's job.
Yeah,
What will that mean for that police department if this person's stopping him?
well, it could mean a variety of things, right? There are definitely stories out there where, I mean, not real stories, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There are definitely stories out there where they have like a system in play where it's like, okay, I tied the villains up for you. You just take them to jail, right? Like I froze them in place. You take them away. You could get your money doing that. I just want to stop the crime, right? There are certainly events like that where that happens, but of course, some stories, there's no working together. It's, oh, I froze another person. That's $10 out of my, potential earning. There's definitely that. And sometimes you see this sometimes too, where suddenly the kids around town aren't idolizing the, let's call them real heroes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly they're idolizing this guy, this real, well, this superhero, not the
Yeah.
real hero, but the superhero, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly, they on the I don't know, on the career day or something, whenever you're asking your third grade class, what do you want to be when you grow up? Superhero. It's that instead of, firefighter, nurse, vet, horse rider,
I want to be a cowboy.
And you know what? Like that's at least the educators in the educator's brain, and I guess maybe the parents' brain too, that's a better answer than I want to be Frostman.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
Frostmans, you're not gonna be like Frostman, and then that makes a villain, right? Because the
Yeah.
parents don't know how to.
I want to be Frozone.
That's a good name, but it's already taken. That's
Yeah.
why I went with Frostman. I expect to see Frostman on the streets in another week because it's going to take at least 6 days for the tailor to get the materials that I need. I need
Mm.
spandex, by the way, right there.
And also the water needs to cool, like, needs this much to cool into, like, beyond 0 temperatures.
You're thinking scientifically. My powers aren't like that. I just have the ability to breathe frost. And
Yes.
I don't need to be cold.
I
I
would hope,
mean, I
uh,
mean, if this was real.
I would, my house is just an entire ice sculpture.
How'd you know where I lived? You're the only house
It's
in
like,
the middle of the heated neighborhood that has a snowman in the front yard. Dang it!
yeah, I'm like the only pimple that's in the, I'm like the only house that has this, like, very cold snowman.
Yeah, the blizzard, the great blizzard of 16 Cherry Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
you know
no,
what? If it's very hot, it must be great to be Frostman's neighbor, right?
I'm sure.
Be like, oh, it's hot, but you know what? Let me just put my lawn chair right next to it, so then I get the cross breeze.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Frostman tangent aside, there's definitely a. Okay, let's actually put this into a different perspective. Frostman not only stops muggers on the street, not only stops people from, stealing from a store or
Anything
shanking
that's
shanking somebody on the corner. What if in the process Frostman had accidentally or on purpose, whatever the reason, breathed on the windows, right? And it was so cold that it shattered the glass, right? Property damage.
well, I mean, you had intentions, but the wrong outcome.
Do you think Frostman, and I guess this is kind of open ended, but I'll give it to you as if it was multiple choice. Do you think Frostman should maybe own up to it and ask like the owner of the building, like, how do I pay for this? Like, do you want me to pay for it? Or or things like that. Do you think Frostman should just hire a contractor to do it in the middle of the night?
In
Replace
the
the
middle of the
the
night.
window without their knowledge, right? Like, oh, it didn't break. There's no difference. It's always been there like that. It never broke.
No.
Do you think Frostman should just walk away and leave it alone? Do you think it depends?
Depends if you've had bad service from there or just. But if you really are a hero or really kind-hearted, you'd probably be like, "Oh, how do I am so sorry. I shattered your $10,000 window. How do I pay you back?"
Well, if you know it's a $10,000 window, then you know that it's $10,000. But like,
Well,
oh, I shattered your window. Um,
but a responsible person would ask, "How do I pay for this window that's been damaged?"
right. And in case of like cameras, right?
Yeah.
Possibly catching the secret identity of Frostman. I kind of think that Frostman should just go as Frostman instead of, me to fix the window, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those like, sorry, citizen. let me fix your thing. But at that time, sometimes people, especially if these superpowers are new, right? Like I don't know, the only person in America who actually has these powers. Maybe people will think, "Oh, I'm just the goofball. Let's bang
Hmm.
bang the goofball, right?
Bang bang the goofball. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And not the good bang bang, by the way.
Yeah.
Bang bang. Yeah, no.
Bang bang.
But yeah, like if I do end up shattering a window, I don't think I should be the one to fix the mistake. I think the person, you know, Frostman in this instance should be the one to do it. Yes, I know that I did it, but maybe the public doesn't know that I am Frostman yet, right? So Frostman should do the fixing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he's the one. You break it, you fix it. There you go.
Right on. All right. Since we've kind of been going on a little bit, I mean, I wouldn't say too long. We've certainly recorded longer before, but let's kind of go on a little bit quicker, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
So my next thing right here I have on is team dynamic and relationships. So superhumans are, well, humans as well. They just happen to have super qualities to them. What do you think a super agency would be like? Do you think they all just have, the coworker mindset? Do you think it's more like a family sort of thing? Well, what do you think could be like a team dynamic or relationship between supers?
Oh, this. Hmm. It's more maybe like a family, I would assume.
Because all of you kind of have something. I mean, whether or not it's the same power, it doesn't matter, but you all have something pretty much in common. It's
I
like,
mean,
I'm different from everybody else. Let's team up.
yeah. So it's like you know, you may have different powers, but you still have powers, and you guys are like family.
And we all kind of have like the same ideals, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's make the world a better place with our new abilities, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, right?
Yep.
Let's do another name drop. What is one group that has a team of heroes?
Avengers.
Great, cool. Let's move on. I
Perfect.
feel like this is part one of the Hollywood Walk of Fame again. It's like,
Yeah.
great, move on.
Perfect. Yep. We're already getting back to that.
Yeah, right. I haven't done that in a while either, right?
We're gonna get to that eventually.
Eventually. Also, you might hear some fireworks going on outside. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't think it's a holiday, but
Yep.
people are blasting them right now. So okay, let's go with it.
All right. Next thing.
The next thing, I guess we could go with the psychology of superhero origins. So there's usually a psychological impact of gaining superpowers in origin stories, um, or just becoming a hero in these origin stories too. Because Batman didn't really gain anything. If anything, he lost something.
Hmm.
But like since he lost his parents, this isn't really a spoiler because it happens in literally every first 2 minutes of every Batman movie, pretty much. But since he loses his parents, he decides, oh, let's take revenge. It is a revenge story at the start. It's let's take revenge on this one person who ended my parents, right?
Mm.
That's how it starts off. But of course, he's like, okay, let's clean up the street and whatever while we're at it. but we'll be brooding and dark as we do it. Uh, the city needs me. I don't need it. Right? Like stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, how trauma, identity, and purpose shape a superhero's journey.
I know you want to take that.
Okay, so it is like let's take let's take a popular franchise, Spider-Man. I know in the first movie his Uncle Ben died, and then that kind of that brought a little anger into him, and he after all these years he's been trying to find out who his killer is, and been web slinging, and just trying to punch the fuck out of people.
So, well, you know that Uncle Ben, Peter Parker's uncle. Um, his famous quote was, "With great power comes responsibility." So he probably instilled that lesson on a young Peter before, right?
Yep,
Trying to give justice to his now, spoiler alert, deceased uncle.
yep. With great power comes great responsibility, and what does he do? He gets revenge, tries to avenge him.
He is an Avenger, right? Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Literally too, yeah. Do you possibly have any other insight on how trauma, identity, or purpose have shaped a superhero's journey?
Um, it's like they have certain traumatic past, and they don't want to repeat what I guess whatever I don't know. It's really I don't know. There's a lot to really unpack
It's
with.
definitely a lot to unpack. I got that, but how about this? Maybe I'll make it a little bit easier by doing this, or maybe it makes it harder. With how about just identity and purpose then? Forgetting about trauma.
It I guess your past just I guess the hero's past shape how they are um currently into the future. Like let's say we had a let's say this superhero had a very bad had bad parents, and he doesn't want to be like his parents, and he's kind of now helping others instead of causing harm to others. I mean,
Sure, sure.
I
But
mean,
that also kind of sounds like a traumatic past, though. How about like, or really, are there any superheroes that don't have trauma attached to them?
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think there's not a requirement that they have to have it, but I don't know. They don't. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. They have to have trauma.
Because I'm thinking of one. Technically, there are a million of them, but we only ever see like comics about or movies about like one or two of them. But the Green Lantern, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Green Lantern, basically the summarization, the summary of that is an alien ring lands in front of this guy. He puts it on, and he has these powers now. Um, I mean, the human guy who we kind of have the movies about. I believe. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I could be pulling this out of my lantern, but
Mm-hmm.
but I believe he has had some trauma, but honestly, he doesn't have to have had
Yeah.
because it's just wearing a ring and suddenly you're the next one.
Yeah. It's like I said, this doesn't have to have it, but it's got the ring regardless.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, so I guess we spent a decent amount of time on that guy. Of course, we still have what five more little, I guess, bullet point sections, whatever you want to call them.
We're like slightly, like a little over halfway done, so we still got 6 more left to go.
Yeah, 5, 6, maybe 7 if I didn't write something down and I'm like, oh, let's add this to the mix. But yeah, let's roll on to numero nuevo nueve. How about we think about the idea of diverse heroes and representation in these fictitious worlds, right? Like how, I don't know. Now that we kind of spoke about the, I guess, backstories and trauma behind some of these superheroes, how about we move on to real life representation and diversity in these narratives, right? Like, I'm kind of thinking like 100 years ago, you might have seen it was only the white man who was able to save the day, right? And it was never an idea of, oh, maybe ladies can do it too, or maybe other, you know, cultures can be heroes too. Maybe.
Yeah, I've been noticing that lately.
I mean, yeah, I mean for good reason, because I mean it's not just like a superhero thing either, but like representation for everybody is great, right? Like
I mean,
we have like 100 years of, the white man being the hero, so why not let the whoever else be the hero?
hmm as long as they're heroic, that's really all I care about.
That's really all a hero is. Who uh,
I
doesn't
don't care
really matter.
if it doesn't matter if it's underdog or who knows, Superman.
Yep.
That's it.
So how about we analyze the progression of diversity and inclusivity in superhero media? To your to your knowledge, how about what was the first? I guess I guess I'll put it this way: what's the first non-white man hero?
Are we going like something like Wonder Woman or Catwoman?
Go with Wonder Woman if you want. That's a good pick because it is like one of the first popular female superheroes,
Not
right?
a not a white man.
Snowy Man. It's like a lot of these superheroes are like, oh, they don't. These races don't technically exist. Like, it's not. There's no real Kryptonian out there, but Clark Kent, pretty much a human, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because he's Kryptonian doesn't mean he's not like human-like.
uh,
And same thing with like Wonder Woman. I don't think she's technically a. Is she an Earthling? I mean, she's Amazonian, so maybe she is an Earthling. Huh.
I mean, she's got the features of an Earthling.
I mean, a lot of them do, even if they're, I don't know, from 50,000 years away or whatever. Yeah.
hmm That's as far back as I know of Wonder Woman and Catwoman, and then there's yeah,
Oh, it's arguable to say Catwoman is a hero, but definitely like a comic book character, definitely a movie character, like pop culture. But I don't know if I would classify her as a hero or a villain. Kind of one of those in betweeners, but
hmm. I mean, I didn't want to bring Spider-Man up again, but what about Miles Morales?
Miles Morales, yeah, he's definitely not the white man.
No.
So another one of the popular ones, who unfortunately the actor behind did pass away, Chadwick Boseman.
Oh yes, Black
But
Panther.
yeah, Black Panther, T'Challa.
The movie, like at the beginning, actually did pay good tribute to him. But
Oh,
like
you mean like a newer one?
they haven't, yeah, the newer one
Yeah.
kind of did pay good tribute to him in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Like it definitely is important to have like representation for marginalized communities, right? Like, because I mean, you might not think of it because every time that there was a superhero movie, you saw like a white man, right? You saw you in the TV or in the book or
Mm.
whatever. Um, Obviously, maybe it didn't look exactly like you, but it was like, ah, it's close enough. Yeah, it's
Um,
me.
we already,
I'm Superman.
well, we do have the Flash. He was a white man.
Definitely, yeah.
In the newest movie, Blue Beetle, he was Hispanic, but he was still a hero.
Right, right. I mean, like, it's definitely important for people to look at a screen and be able to connect with the character. That's why, like, a lot of times people connect with animated characters a lot more than live action because of the fact that, oh, this character doesn't have to be, I don't know, it doesn't have to be American, right? It's just a sketch of a cartoon character, and it's like, oh, it could be British, they could be African, they could be whatever, they could be Kryptonian, a made up place.
Literally, like yeah, there's more creativity. You're not like casting for people.
Like I kind of think about the idea of one of the yes, I know this is kind of a tangent, but I guess I could probably tie it into, but one of the Fairly Odd Parents plot lines where Timmy wishes everybody looked the same, right? So everybody's a gray blob. So um, everyone was able to be like, "Oh, you're an awesome gray blob, right? Like you look the same as me, so you're cool or something." And it was like it's only because Timmy had like a pink hat that he found or something that you know you're not cool because you're different from us. But it's definitely important to have representation like that.
Like, I mean, but then after a while, it's like, okay, this is boring now.
How so?
I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, oh, Timmy wished everybody was the same, but
Oh, oh, we're talking about yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
I'm saying, you think
For a
after a
second,
while that novelty, oh, it's worn out.
honestly, I thought for a second you were saying like, you know what? Too many marginalized communities are being seen in superhero roles.
Mm.
Bring back the white man. That's what I thought you were saying.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But it definitely is important to have representation in not just superheroes, but everywhere, really. I mean, we've gotten to a point where it's where we are having, let's say, a book has a Brazilian character in it and a French character in it. We're getting to a point where it's not just American or British actors playing those guys, but we will get a Brazilian, we will get a French person to play those characters, right? So that's even cool too, where it's like we're able to hire actors that are pretty much closer to what the character is in the first place. Done are the days with the let's just say white people playing stereotype characters. Let's just say that
Mm-hmm.
because that won't fly anymore.
Yeah, well, it's super. They can, but
And they can.
yeah.
Speaking of real life stuff, though, how about we maybe we maybe see a deeper dive into some of the superheroes as reflections of societal values, maybe. Like, how do you think superheroes mirror societal anxieties, hopes, or cultural shifts?
Huh. How superheroes mirror souls. I mean, are we going? Sounds like we're going back to what we were talking about before. Like,
A little bit, maybe.
Oh. As of right now, I don't know what to add, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure later down the road I'll have something to mention, but
That's how it seems to go with you. Man.
mhm.
It's like, oh, we're now on part 11, and you're like, oh, that part 3 thing that I remembered.
But I think what I was trying. Okay, now we may move on.
What are you trying?
I was talking about something. I don't know. I was like, not every God,
Not every rose has its thorns.
because like, I mean, sure it's okay because people think of superheroes as people who are not always gonna have like sad moment. Like, I don't know.
People put superheroes on these pedestals expecting them to, always be 100%, even though they're also individuals with their own feelings too that might get
That's
hurt every now and then.
that's what I was trying to get at.
Then say it. But yeah, obviously, superheroes do go beyond the fiction that they derive from, or at least the idea of superheroes. We did say a little bit before, okay, a lot of it before, the idea of firemen, police, hospital staff, no, janitors, anyone who went out during the 2020 and I guess 2022 pandemonium. They were all heroes.
Yeah, they were.
So there's obviously a rise of the real life superhero, individuals, and community activism. Just this week, can you think of anything heroic that you saw in real life?
Um, Nothing, at least as far as I know. I could think of like, how about there's a cat's head like stuck in a metal fence, and the guy has his he has grabs his tools and he tries to bend the metal to get the cat's head out of the fence. Now he's a hero. He helped that poor cat that could have died in a couple days. I mean, I've seen stuff like that before.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just one of the many examples that are out there.
Definitely. I mean, like, there are definitely superhero where I'm kind of repeating a little bit of a topic here, but there are definitely people who post online, stories about either what they did or what they saw somebody else do that are, in our definition anyways, heroic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the idea of someone cutting open a fence to save an animal that might be stuck in it. You get the fishermen who are casting out a net and picking up the garbage that they happen to find in the ocean, right? You might have even animals that are being heroic, where maybe the big dog is sticking up for the puppy when it's being chased by a coyote or something.
Oh, you
There, there are definitely heroes out there.
Oh, definitely. Like, especially if it's their own biological pups, they're protective. Like, if a coyote came to munch on them, yep, that dog's gonna like that dog's gonna save them.
Hopefully, but not all the time. But
But just in
we
general,
won't talk about that one.
But that's just another example of heroic acts from animals.
Yeah, it's not just a human thing. It's literally anything that can, I guess, breathe and move can technically save another thing from something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you think some psychological or sociological aspects of real world heroism include?
I don't know. You'll feel good, I guess. Is that what you feel good after saving someone, and then you feel the need to seek out for people to save or things to save? I don't
But
know.
when does it become too much?
But that's the thing. Sometimes, how about this? How about somebody they know who this hero is, so then they purposely get themselves in situations to take advantage of that hero's kindness.
Right. I
Was
mean,
that
you don't even need powers to take advantage of somebody.
like that? Sometimes being a hero can be too much, but there's got to be a balance.
And there's definitely a balance. And like with how somebody who possibly saved somebody might feel afterwards. There are probably a million different emotions and a million different ways that you could possibly go about something, but
Mm-hmm. Oh
somebody
yeah.
might somebody might think to themselves, "Oh, this was a rush. I know I did the right thing. Let's look for more," right? They might do it because they feel great about what they accomplished, what
Mm-hmm.
happened as a result of their actions. Or I guess in some cases inaction, but that's not really entertaining of a story most of the time. It's only when somebody actually does something that's when the story becomes woo great, right? But there's also the idea of other people, what their views towards that person who did the heroic action, right? Like I'm well, once again today I'm gonna throw out Peter Parker again. I'm gonna throw out that idea where it's like he is saving people, beating up, I don't know, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, whatever. However, a there's a reporter, or I guess the boss of the Daily Bugle, right? Is Daily Bugle the Spider-Man one, or is that the Superman one?
I think
Da-
think think
Daily Bugle versus Daily Planet.
I think Daily Bugle's Spider Man.
Bugle's Spider-Man, and then Planet is
Mm-hmm.
is the okay, right? I was right. I was right. Um, but yeah, there's that one guy who's always like, oh, that's Spider-Man. He can't be all that good, right? He can't be. He's not all that in a bag of chips because he's not the person doing these heroic acts. He's another person kind of looking from the outside, um, judging because he's always in the news instead of, oh, that, I don't know, fire station who saved its a millionth fire this day or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always the magical, the cool, the trendy hero. It's not the everyday one that's in the paper because the money comes from the superhero, not the average Joe that happened to punch a robber in the nuts,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is pretty nuts. Yeah.
It does sound nuts.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. So let's go. Let's bring Peter Parker back again.
sure.
Sometimes trying to save people is too much. When it came after he, especially since again his uncle Ben died, so I think that's where eventually becomes too much because then he didn't know who the real killer was until later on. So really went all in on it when trying to avenge his uncle.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's really the only. That's all I can really think about right now.
That is your catchphrase today.
Yeah, might as well be.
Oh, I don't know what you think of one.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to have seen a firefighter pulling out, I don't know, 5 people from a burning building across the street from you, what would your viewpoint of that firefighter be?
It's like, wow, how can this guy just like not doesn't even hesitate to go in and save the people from the fire?
He has something, a skill that you might not have.
Well, again, these people have trained to do this, so it's not like they're just an instinct. They had to train for that instinct.
Who knows? Maybe they didn't do any training for the instinct. They already had the hero in them.
Mm-hmm.
However, the thing that I'm trying to get at is, what if you hated the 5 people that the guy pulls out of the building?
Makes you well deep. I don't know. It's like I don't know. You're petty, like the pettiness in you would be like, yeah, those people deserve to die in the fire. While at the same time, you're like, okay, as much as I hate these people, maybe they don't deserve to die.
Right. I mean, I bring up that extreme because it got you on the fence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It got you in the middle, being like, on one hand, you know, I could praise that heroic firefighter for pulling out 5 people who were desperate
Mm-hmm.
in need. However, on the other side, it's one of those, oh, it was those people, right? Like, it got you
Mm-hmm.
in the middle. And that's the reason why I gave that extreme to you. I wanted to kind of get your idea of, you know, you outside looking in, your perspective, which is definitely going to be different from, say, somebody else who's standing right next to you watching that same event happening. Or maybe the person who's sitting in their Californian mansion watching the news about those 5 people being pulled out across the street from you. Their perspective is going to be different too. Um,
Well,
Everybody's perspective is different in terms of that.
everyone's they're not gonna. We're not gonna have that same mindset at all. Like, otherwise, it's like it's like we're a bunch of robots that all program the same way. We're not like that at
But
all.
there's usually always like there's usually a consensus of, I don't know, majority of the people think that something is either A or B, right? It's this or that. It's either a heroic thing that that person did or a villainous thing that that person did.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be that one person that will think the firefighter is the villain.
Possibly, and I mean, this is a real world example that actually did happen a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the Titanic submarine,
Mm.
after that event happened, there were people online who were like, "Oh, they were rich, they deserved it." And then there are obviously the other people who were like, "There was like a 17-year-old on that. Do you think that guy deserved it? Did that person like what was that person in charge of, you know, 90% of where the money of everywhere goes?" No,
There's gonna
it's
be that one side. There's gonna be that one side that's gonna be like, oh, hey, he signed up to be on that boat, so he got what's coming to him.
sign up for it, or or who knows? There are a plethora of opinions and stuff like that. But overall, with that story, and it is a real one. I mean, of course, it's not a superhero story, but it's just a tragedy. but that is a sense. No, that is a thing that happened with that story of people were like, "Oh, great, these people are gone, right? Celebrate it because they were rich. They weren't poor like us." Or, of course, there are the people on the other side saying it's loss of human life that was done like in a stupid way. Why are we celebrating this? These are people. Think about the people that, you know, knew these people who are no longer there.
Yeah, especially the families of these people that were on the boat. You know, and I think the majority might agree that it's like, oh, a lot of these people's lives have been robbed.
I'm talking about the submarine, not the actual Titanic, by the way.
But I don't know. That's an example. Hmm. But yeah, there's always going to be mixed opinions about it.
But there's typically always like a consensus of like majority of the people think it is okay. This is how it is. No matter if you're full in support or not, as long as there's a majority of people who think relatively the same as you, then you're part of the majority.
Hmm.
That's just basic, you know, I guess basic polling,
Hmm. Yeah.
basic problematic, problematic, no, probability.
Yeah.
Probability is problematic, huh?
Probability. Oh, it was problematic.
Down with probability.
Mm.
Can't cancel probability.
Hashtag cancel probability.
It's problem over. No.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about the influence of superheroes on popular culture. So we're going to talk about the enduring appeal of superhero stories in various forms of media. So it looks like we'll be talking about, like, again, you said pop culture. So like these heroes can be referenced in like mainstream movies. And I'm not talking about superhero movies, but just in any other movie they kind of get a slight reference. But it's definitely more than just that. And what is your take on that? The influence of superheroes on popular culture.
Oh yeah, so I believe that superhero stories like there's a side plot in Fairly Odd Parents with the Crimson Chin. Um, that idea pretty much came from Timmy's a fan of this comic book series, so he wishes to be a part of it every now and then. He'll enter that world and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kick some chin with the Crimson Chin, right?
Yeah.
And Catman, yeah.
Ah.
R.I.P. Adam West too, right?
Oh God, rip to him.
And Norm Macdonald, who was the genie who actually was never in the comic book world, but still he was in it.
Rest in fairyland.
But regardless, not to be, negative,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
but there definitely was a side plot in the Fairly Odd Parents of pretty much just Superman with a big chin.
Yeah, so it's
If we think about
inspired by.
it, pretty much that. But there are definitely superheroes that aren't
Hmm.
exactly, the Superman or the Wonder Woman or the Flash, whatever. There are definitely superhero stories in those other types of media.
Um. Hmm. How about let's talk about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy?
Mermaid
They're
Barnacle.
inspired. They're inspired by a lot of those '50s superhero like shows.
I mean, they are Batman and Robin.
Like, yeah, like the time cards and the music. Yeah, like it just really is like 50s inspired.
Yeah, like the captions going like Biff, Wham,
Just like it's
Doink.
yeah, literally just like sound effects that have to be spelled out.
Yeah, but those are definitely superheroes in, I guess, not typical superhero show, right?
Yeah,
Um, of course, there are definitely episodes that are around them and the whole idea of Mermaid and Barnacle Boy, but obviously SpongeBob is much more than just those two heroes.
yeah. So yeah, as we have the, I mean, we have heroes, but then now we have superheroes that have impacted on the fashion, art, language, and everyday life. So we all have, like, again, these superheroes, like, let's go back to what you said before, the stereotypical white superhero. And these have these very, I don't know, it's got very masculine, I don't know, there's some masculinity to them. I don't know, what's your take on this?
So, if we're going to talk about, I guess, fashion, then is the first thing that you said over
Yeah.
there. Fashion, ever since they became more of a big thing, graphic tees, they have all of the superhero logos that you could ever imagine printed out on these tees because, well, it's a form of money making. But at the end of the day, it's also an easy way to, plaster something on your shirt being like, oh, I like this thing. Or I know nothing about this thing. It was just on clearance.
Ah. Oh wow.
So it's where you find a lot of the superhero t-shirts. But not just that. You see
I was
ever, ever since like if we're not just talking about casual wear, you'll see every now and then celebrities or models on the runway with inspired ideas
that
from these uniforms, from these superhero costumes.
that
Like,
was kind of what I was thinking about. More of like people wear like casual clothing inspired by these heroes.
yeah, I mean, like, maybe it's not really like a full on revealing outfit that Wonder Woman would wear, but you see a lot of times, oh, somebody might wear like a pale morph suit or something, and then they'll wear like Wonder Woman armor or something, or maybe they don't have a six pack, but they'll still wear a red cape with a big old yellow SM on it, right? Superman.
Yeah,
Um, they might not have to really.
be like jacked.
They don't necessarily have to look like the superhero in order to
No.
dress up as them. Of course, that is just the fashion aspect of them. The art aspect, the second thing that you said, I forgot the other things, but art is something that you see a lot of starting artists being inspired by these comic books or these shows or these movies, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they will sit there and, you know, draw these characters. They will get better and better and better. And then someday you'll see that same guy suddenly has his own comic book that's coming out or already came out, which is pretty neat. Um, I guess this is our shameless plug. Um, get Rat Night anywhere that you can. Our buddy Brandon
Mm-hmm.
from from good old HS high school.
Mm.
Rat Night
Yeah, yeah.
looks pretty cool. I mean, I don't
Pretty
have
cool.
any credit. I don't have any credit card, so I can't buy it yet. But yeah, it does look pretty nice.
Shout
So,
out.
and you know what? It's on theme too. Rat Night is pretty much Batman inspired, at least from the cover.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously haven't read it yet because I can't read it if I didn't buy it. So,
Mm.
but there's definitely that artist um, inspiration that's out there.
Yeah.
More than even just like the digital art, or I should say traditional art or digital art. There's also a rise of pumpkin carvings that follow a pattern that might be like the Flash logo or something might be on a next pumpkin carving. Um, I mean, art is big. I mean, okay, you would consider music as art, right?
Yeah.
It is a type of art. There are definitely songs out there that reference either subtle clues or full on mentions these superheroes in the lyrics. Like, I mean, Soldier Boy, right? Superman, let's go. You.
Superman. Or there's like a Chainsmokers song that talks about Spider-Man.
Right,
Spider-Man's control. Yeah, that one.
right. And of course, there's similar to that traditional or digital artist idea, there's the original character or original concept that gets inspired by these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like yeah, I mean, maybe you haven't seen it as much as I have because I've been in these communities, let's just say, but um a lot of time I was able to see, oh, this is my OC, don't steal it, right? It's like, oh, this guy, I'm gonna make something up here, but this is, I don't know, Frank. This is Frank. Um, he's a red hedgehog. Like he's my Sonic OC. He has like green eyes, but he wears like two eye patches, so he can't even see. Right?
Frank the
This is Frank the Red Hedgehog, or Frank the Redgehog. Um, don't steal. It's basically inspired art from, or concepts if it's not art, but ideas
Hmm.
from the original inspiration.
Um, this kind of reminds me of something that this goes back to like a couple of years ago. I think this was
Mhm.
inspired from Princess. I mean, this is not really exactly superhero related, but it does relate to the art. Remember
Sure.
Bowsette?
Yes, I do.
I th-
That's
I don't know if that's the same thing, but it does kind of take in it from a character. From
that's not quite the same.
mm-hmm.
Let's say, okay, let's say this. I was talking about spaghetti, and you were talking about cavatappi. They're both pasta,
But they're not the
but
same.
they're not really the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna go on about that tangent here, that basically happened because one of the newer Mario games had the Super Crown. It was basically the same idea as the glider or the nut suit or whatever you want to call it, the squirrel suit. Um, it had the same exact abilities as that, except only Toadette was able to do it, which kind of made the canon of Nintendo World basically Peach is only a grown-up Toadette, right? Only the Toadettes can become Peaches, right? That's why Peachette, that's what that's what Toadette,
Mm-hmm.
if I guess, evolves into.
Yeah.
And that's how Peachette was a thing because, oh, it's just a short-haired version of Peach, right? But it's like, oh, only Toadette was able to get it in the first place, right? So the idea was then, oh, what if we put this crown on other characters? I mean, it started with Bowser, but like it's not just Bowser. Geez, there's a Boozette, which is Boo, right? Or actually King Boo, I think it officially is. There's like Chompette, right? There's the Chain Chomp one, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's there's I mean there's name an enemy and there's probably one. Or actually name a character and there's probably one. Right? But okay, that's the that's that tangent aside.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not quite the same thing. It's they're both pasta, but they're not quite the same thing. Um, if anything, that was just someone had the idea to take something from this universe and apply it to something else in the same universe. It's not like, oh, this brand new character that
No,
didn't
it's
exist
not.
already.
Not a brand new character, no.
I mean, it, it it's it's not a new character per se, technically, but it kind of is because I mean Miyamoto probably didn't think, oh, let's draw tits on this Bowser, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm probably gonna cut out the Bowsette stuff because that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to share that with you, if anything.
All right. I guess we'll move on from that part.
Oh, we ain't done.
No, no, but just from
Do
that
some do
conversation.
some. Oh my God, we're already at 54. What?
Oh yeah, we are. Superheroes' impact on everyday life. Again, how about these? How about Comic-Con? We
Right?
start having where people are cosplaying as this hero, and then
What is
people
cosplay?
cosplays. Well, you're kind of. I mean, it's not. It's definitely not the same as like Halloween, but you're still kind of. I don't know. You're dressing up as a hero and acting like the hero, but
Only heroes?
no. Well, not just heroes. Just whatever character you're portraying, or which is
Okay,
your favorite.
cool.
And
Good.
I don't know, like
Carry
you have these events. You go to the event, meet people who are kind of in that same community, or you meet the people that are. Let's say if Stan Lee was still alive, you'd go to that, and if he's there, you can get an autograph from Stan Lee or whoever wrote DC Comics.
Stan Lee
He's
versus whoever else.
well, well, you get the general idea, but I think that's the biggest. That's like the biggest thing I know is the whole Comic Con.
I mean, definitely, yeah. There are conventions out there for anything and everything. Um,
Well, yeah. Or
of
how
course,
about
like
comic
your or
comic book stores?
Hamster, yeah,
We already have
that'd be sweet.
those. I mean, may not be as popular as them, but even I think people are still interested in them.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of seem like it might be a slowly dwindling
But then there's a
thing.
little bit of that revival.
Yeah, I thought of something too.
All right, what would you like to add?
Hold your horses. I'm gonna look something.
While you're finding something, I could probably think of any more possible ones. Like, yep, we already got Comic Con. Um, oh yeah, they when they're. I mean, there's already a different type of con, but how about superheroes? Like, a lot of them have their own like video series or TV series, like we mentioned, but they also got their video games series as well. They also license out to these companies to develop the games for the whatever superhero. insert name here.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been going on for probably a couple decades now. I don't know. There's always competition from like DC Comics and Marvel.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. So we already have like two big things that impacted everyday life.
Right.
They also license toys out for kids to buy. Like, oh, you get to be Superman for Halloween. You get the fake six-pack on there. Or you get to dress up as Batman.
I did find what I wanted to find in Corpus Christi. This is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There is a set of street signs, like at an intersection sort of area, right? Where it's like, this is First Street. That is a loud car.
Literally here.
It's not even a car. Oh my God.
Mm.
I see flashing lights. There's something happening. There's a real hero over there, probably.
Hey, maybe saving the cat in the tree.
Oh, we don't get a lot of outdoor cats around here, but there's a Corpus Christi area that is pretty much the street name is like Superman Drive, and the other street is Krypton.
Yeah, that's so literally there's like a whole streets they name it off of these superheroes.
Yeah, I was trying to look at. I was trying to look for like a Batman like town because I remember like I thought I remembered hearing something about like a full-on town in Australia is named Batman, or New Zealand maybe, but I can't think of it. I can't. I mean, I could probably find it, but I'm not going to find it.
Honestly, I wonder how the origins for those streets even came into play.
Honestly, it's just probably these streets were originally named after racist people, so let's just name them something else. That's honestly what it probably was.
Maybe.
Why do you think you or I might be drawn to superhuman abilities or narratives?
Hmm.
Stories about supers.
Kind of. I don't know. It does have an impact on. I guess for whatever. I guess depending on person to person, it could be a number of things that you wish. I don't know. It's like you kind of. Oh my God! There's like plenty of answers to this. Really, to be honest. Why are we attracted to these supers? Like this, like just the thought of being one is why we look
What?
up.
I mean, not necessarily
That's
thought
just
of
one of.
being one, but I'm saying, why does it? Okay, let me rephrase then. Why do you like superhero ideas?
I don't know. It just gets this excited feeling.
It makes you excited.
Yeah. I don't
What
know.
about it?
Too, and then also kind of gets you'll feel energized. I guess.
How does it energize you?
Just the thought of I don't know. Some of these superheroes they. I don't know, it's like a lot of action going on.
Right.
Right. I don't. Let's think about Flash for example. He's. I don't know. Or how about Shazam when he saves the bus? It gives you this adrenaline, makes you feel. I don't know, gives you a feeling of It has this strength that you don't know you have. It gives you like an adrenaline feeling. I really
Are you asking me, or are you
no, no, no,
telling me
no.
that's
I'm telling you. I'm just telling you.
but you're like it gives you a sense of, and it's
No,
like
I just talking about in
say
general, not
say
you specifically.
say
I'm not talking about
literally let's do the thing that Mrs. Puff does, right? What I learned in boarding school, except I'm going to rephrase it.
what I learned
What
about
I
school.
like about superheroes is
Oh my god.
blankety blankety blank.
Yeah, but I wasn't
What I like about superheroes is
That's what I'm not talking about
what I
you
like about superheroes
specifically.
is
Not you specifically, but
what I like about superheroes is
they're cool. No, but
great. You pass.
no,
A
but
plus.
no, it
You can
gives you a
drive a boat
sense.
now.
Yeah, I'm happy, but no, it gives you a sense of excitement. It gives you a sense, it gives you some adrenaline in
It
you.
gives me, as in you, I'm saying this is what you said.
No, I'm just saying it would give. No, this it would just give me a sense of I don't know. It gives me a sense of adrenaline.
Yeah, and you think that's the only thing that you that connect? Oh shoot, you think that's the only thing that you connect with superhero
Or
concepts?
well, not just that. Also, I guess it gives me a sense of motivation in a way too, because we
How
may
so?
need make because I guess we may need. There's not a lot of superheroes. I guess that maybe where we are, there's not. We need more heroes. Makes you feel inspired to be a hero yourself. Hey, like I want to be just like Superman, or I want to be like Flash. I want to be like Batman or whatever. Just saves people from this like very damning situation. Or I wish I could like swing webs and save people from a like building that's literally collapsing. I guess it gives me a sense of I don't know motivation to I don't know have an act of kindness.
Yeah, seeing all these stories just inspires you to be the better you.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, pretty much what I'm saying. But like,
As for how I feel personally about it, like I am definitely drawn to the superhuman narrative because, frankly, and you did technically say this, but I kind of had to poke you until you said it. But just the idea of it is just cool, right? The idea is cool. So I like thinking about the what ifs, right? I mean, sometimes I don't like thinking about the what ifs because sometimes the what ifs are bad,
but
but
the
but the
the truth has to be told.
but the idea of one day waking up with frost abilities, right? I am Frost Man, just out of nowhere, and experiencing, oh, I don't need an air conditioner anymore. And then, rather than just cooling my room, I could maybe freeze criminals, right? Like how things could happen based on if I had a certain ability versus not. It's just a cool thing to just think about, right? It's the same idea as, you know, watching Harry Potter stuff and thinking, it'd be cool to be a wizard,
Yeah.
right?
Or imagine you waking up with fire breathing abilities.
Right. How do you explore that you have, not explore, how do you discover that you have fire breathing, right? You're like, oh shoot.
Oh my gosh. I can't. Oh. Well, how are you gonna? I don't know. It's like imagine you accidentally waking up in the morning. exhale or yawn and you burn your like ceiling by accident just because you exhaled.
Yep.
Or what if there's like somebody that's in a block of ice? You can just and there you go, the ice is melted.
Well, you don't need heat breath for that. You could just do that in general. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it will take you a long time, but you could technically thaw somebody out.
Yeah, except my face would be blue.
Eh,
But there's always those what if moments when it comes to the superheroes.
right on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can completely skip over this if you have no idea. I'm completely fine skipping over 14. However, I'm going to ask it as if, I'm introducing the next part, right?
All right.
But after I introduce it, you can straight up say, I have no clue how to answer this, and then we could go on.
All right.
So, we kind of introduced the idea of thinking about what the past of superheroes have included, right? We had the idea of, back in, ancient Greek mythology, there was the Achilles character, all the way to modern day, right? Where we have Miles Morales, or 50 million different types of Spider-Verse characters, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
We've explored the past and present. However, you know what? I'm gonna make you guess this one. What do you think is next after past and present?
I think after you mentioned Miles Morales, I think I do have a little bit of an idea of what might happen, like for the future of superheroes.
Predict the future of superhero narratives
So we
in
already have.
the coming years.
So we already have. We already have Miles Morales and Spider-Man. We already have Superman and Supergirl. So it's like they're probably gonna take. I think they're probably gonna take these existing superheroes. They're probably gonna have. They're probably gonna have different iterations of those superheroes. That's what
Yeah,
we're already probably going to have. I mean, I don't think Hulk is really much of really exactly a hero, but I'll use Hulk as an example. We have She-Hulk already. We have Supergirl for Superman. What's next? Are we going to have Bat Lady? Or
I mean, there's already Batwoman.
I know, yeah, but
That is a thing.
I know, but I think there's just going to be like different. You know how like video game characters, they have like different versions of those characters. We're probably going to have different versions of these superheroes, kind of subcategories.
Because I mean, yeah, we already have the three different Peter Parkers. However, they are technically all the same Peter Parker.
Yeah. So what's good?
Technically and kind of, but also kind of not at the same time. It's a weird thing because we introduced the idea of alternate realities into it. But there's Miles Morales, there's Spider Gwen, there's the Peter Porker, there's the freaking Penny Parker, there's the we already have a lot of Spider people, but they probably are going to introduce either more of the same characters or just new characters. Or I'm not gonna okay, I shouldn't say new because they were probably already in comic books.
And they're already existing, but
I guess new in terms of being on screen, right?
Let's see. Imagine like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk with Eric Bana's Hulk,
and having both of them Hulk out together, right, or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that is realistically what could possibly happen.
Other than that, I don't really. Huh?
How about something that you want to see in like a superhero narrative? Not something that you already know, but something that you would really like seeing, either on the screen or in a book somewhere.
I honestly, I don't really have much of an answer for that. But
There's got to be something you want to like read or see or something.
mm-hmm. So you know how I mentioned in an older episode we have we're in kind of in that digital age. So what if we had a superhero that's super tech savvy? That's, I don't know. Instead of, I guess I really, I don't know. It's like instead of having paying somebody to fix their phone, or we have this super phone man helping an old lady type out an email. I don't.
That's just grandchildren.
I really, like I said, I don't really have much of an exact answer for what I would like to see, but I don't know. It's like I really don't know. How about you? What would you want to see in the future?
Good thing you asked. Prepare yourself. I'll be explaining this for 3 hours. No, just kidding. I'll try to summarize it. I want to see more characters who are not the, I guess, typical Hollywood attractive types, right?
Mm.
I want to see more representation in the, I guess, just more diversity in the look department, right? It's like I'm very tired of seeing, I mean, not just superhero movies, but just everything in general is the only ugly characters, quote unquote, are villains or side characters that are never seen again, right? Why can't we have the ugly, and I say that with quotes around because that's what most of the population would consider as non-attractive, but I want to see some more just normal people
Mm-hmm.
in these films. Let alone like superhero stories, like forgetting superheroes for a second, just in general. I want, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
more diversity. Not everybody has to be a supermodel, right?
No.
There's never going to be a Batman who's like, I don't know, who just doesn't look handsome and mysterious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see, you know who I want to see
Who?
as a super as Batman.
Who?
It'd be a weird push, but I'm very curious what would happen if Weird Al Yankovic was Batman.
Mm. Like, what's he gonna do?
And he's not, at least by my standard, he's not ugly in the slightest. But like,
Oh,
I think it would be a cool breath of fresh air on what Batman could be.
yeah, that'll be interesting to see that. Actually,
Oh, Batman the musical, because he's also music, right?
mm. Will Ferrell as Superman. I don't know. What if they can make him a jokester,
Sure. I mean,
not Joker, jokester.
Will can actually be like a new iteration of the Riddler or something too.
Um,
Like he'd be great as a Riddler. But okay, this is like things that I want. We don't need to go into this tangent. Um,
like I,
Another thing that I would like to see is like I guess less less of the pre-existing narratives being copied and pasted again, right? I
mm,
don't want to see another Superman. I don't want to see another Spider-Man or, you know, Flash story. I want to see the the comic book hero that only got one page,
mm-hmm.
maybe having a movie or something. Like, oh, this is Tin Can Man.
Oh yeah. So like
It was
So,
a random guy.
so like instead of recycling old heroes, they want like new ones. So pretty much that's what you're saying.
Like it was pretty cool seeing, like Black Panther was like a new I at least in terms of the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was not really in any of the shows, I don't think. I mean, I don't watch all of the Marvel things. I want to eventually,
Mm-hmm.
but that's an eventual thing. I don't know if he was in previous movies like that, but like, Shang-Chi, right? That's a newer one. I think kind of based in the same area as like the Doctor Strange sort of things, because a lot of those characters are kind of in Shang-Chi, at least to my knowledge. I could be wrong with that, but I want to see more of that original thing. If it's from like big league directors, right? Um, Possibly even just original ideas. Nothing wrong with the Stan Lee stuff and the whoever does the DC.
Or just like they want to keep Stan's legacy going.
Sure, and nothing is wrong with that, but I kind of do want the ideas that maybe the 19-year-old today is writing. I mean, honestly, it'd be cool to see like a Rat Night in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, to my knowledge, an original work from Brandon, right? And
Yeah,
just seeing like a movie that is like not an already big name person behind it, that'd be cool.
I mean, from what I've seen, he's drawn some pretty good stuff.
Oh, he
And
draws awesome stuff. I mean, think I still have one of the shirts that he designed.
hmm,
He's been graduated and he's still the shirt designer, actually.
pretty
They
cool.
just they just hired the guy. It's
That'd actually be great.
it's not just a student designer anymore. I think they got rid of it because they found a good person
Mm-hmm.
to to do the character on the back, which I'm not going to mention because that might actually no, it probably doesn't matter what we say. But
Yeah.
I those are the top two things that I really want to see. Of course, I could think about a lot more that I would want to see in Hollywood or just in a book somewhere. But
Like,
I want more, let's just say, normal people in these films that aren't, background or the villain.
yes.
And and I would want more original heroes in these shows. Whether or not they've been, from Stanley and it's just this one stinker that didn't sell so much copies of the comic book. And maybe one page of like a background character or something like that. But like a film about an original or a not yet done hero before. Blue Beetle, like you said before, that wasn't done before.
No, not at all.
That's new. That's good. That passes my test. Whether or not I'll see that, it will have to be on TV because apparently I don't go to theaters anymore. Uh,
Yeah, so like I think what I was saying earlier is like when I was like kind of my original thing I said was how we have subcategories of the heroes that we already exist, but I think in the future I think they should just focus more on the heroes other than just because Batman's now this now, but it's like Batman originally was fine the way he was, or how about this? We already have Superman was fine the way he was. I get why people would kind of want to change him a little bit, but I mean, I think they should focus more on the heroic aspect instead of saying, "Oh, he ain't this jock like stereotype." I don't know if like that's pretty much my thing about it, but again, it's like I'm all about changing like as time goes on, but it doesn't seem like they focus more on the hero side of things as much as they focus on, oh, this is what he is. Like he ain't white Superman anymore. He's this like Superman. I don't know. That's just,
Yeah, he's bald Superman
he's
now.
bald Superman, or now
Or
he's
is, I don't
fat.
know, Superman that came from Krypton instead of Krypton, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but that's just kind of my main point of what I would want to see in the future. But at the same time, I'm all about, kind of keeping up with the times. But just as long as you kind of keep that core root of those heroes.
Yeah, you're more interested in what it means to be a hero rather than all of the new fandangled ideas that Hollywood's throwing into the universe, right?
Yeah.
It's, oh, this is what, I don't know, Spider-Man did to save the collapsing building.
Mm-hmm.
You're not interested necessarily, or I guess as much, in the, oh, it's not Peter Parker anymore, it's Penny Parker.
Penny Parker. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's like pretty much what I'm like saying. It's like as long as yeah, as long as it's what it means to be a hero. Yeah. But that's pretty much the only thing I could see. But like again, like I could think of more, like you said as well.
Obviously.
But other than that, it's like that's really it for what I would see in the future.
And once again, DomJake Studios has brought to you a DomJake Podcast episode. With great power, dot, dot, dot. Until next time, this has been the DomJake Podcast, signing out.